When you look at this sort of particular image, this, you know what I'm talking about, of course, the gorgeous Larry, the Downing Street cat, number 10 Downing Street, of course. You look at Larry, don't you? You think, as I've often said, what sort of life has Larry had? He's seen the comings and going, has he not? All those prime ministers like the Right Honourable Theresa May for at least 10 minutes, of course. Liz, remember her, Truss? Well, I mean, I don't think he got a chance to know her, did he? And of course, the Right Honourable David Cameron, and now under the custodian, of course, of the Right Honourable Rishi Sunak, although Rishi also has a dog as well. So, you know, maybe a little bit nose put out of joint. It's big business, you know, when you talk about animals and stuff like that. And I don't know if many people realise this, but I was inspired to write about Larry the Downing Street cat for my book, and I'm not plugging it here, but, you know, if people wanted to know. And it was a short, just children's book that came to me simply because I was looking at Larry one day standing outside Downing Street, and it got me thinking. And I asked one of the policemen, you see, I said, is Larry chipped? And they said, oh, I'm not sure, you know. And I said, well, it's weird, isn't it? And I said, I've just seen him go to the gate of Downing Street. I said, what if somebody chipped Larry and sent him back in, and they were listening into secrets perhaps in the cabinet room, because he's allowed to walk over everywhere. And they looked at me and said, never thought about it like that, Neil. I thought, right, you know. Anyway, I managed to write this book, which I thought was just a nice sort of ode to Larry the Downing Street cat. And, you know, it was just good fun. Seemingly, though, I could have inspired someone else. That's right, the First Lady, Jill Biden. Let me explain. Morning, lovely to see you, and as ever, thank you so much for taking the time out for joining me today. Yes, you see, Dr. Jill Biden, the First Lady of the United States of America, of course, the wife of President Joe Biden, is about to launch her book in June, Willow the White House Cat. And the story of it is very enchanting indeed. Apparently, this beautiful tabby jumped up on stage at some kind of rally and captured the heart of the Bidens. Up until that point, they'd had German Shepherd dogs, you see, and of course, sadly, they lost them, and one was a little bit tricky, shall we say, apparently, biting quite a few people. What I can tell you, though, is that this particular book with Simon & Schuster, which is set to be very successful, with all of the profits going to various individual charities for Dr. Jill Biden, well, apparently, already, it looks like it could become an animation, or as we call it over here in the United Kingdom, a cartoon. Could Jill be persuaded, in fact, to voice this over as well? What was interesting was that when Jill came over for the Platinum Jubilee and went along to Downing Street at the invitation of the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, apparently she was completely enamoured also by Larry the Downing Street cat, and, you know, said, well, you know, we just kind of love him. And basically, she didn't realise that Larry had quite a few social media accounts attached to him, you know, Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that, people taking pictures, posting stuff all about him. And apparently, according to a well-placed source, she was inspired to think about what exactly Willow's story, which will be woven in and out of the White House corridors, the corridors of power, and what possibly could they have heard, seen, or indeed be assisting with. Fascinating how people get inspired, isn't it? I'm not suggesting for one moment, First Lady, that you cast your eye over, of course, the Downing Street cats. But like mine, I think it will become something of a firm favourite. Everybody loves to know about power cats, don't they? People in positions of power, whether it be animals or indeed humans. Sometimes, though, truly, I think Larry and now Willow possibly will become the most famous pets in the world. Let's be honest, the most famous addresses too. Neil Sean, Kensington, London.